And good afternoon, everyone. What's happening? Welcome to Thursday. Good evening to all my UK friends and that side of the ocean friends. Today we're going to finish up this painting that I started on the Monday Night Live feed, the one that was bid on and won by Chris Garcia. So we're just going to finish this up today, and we'll see how it goes. So I don't have any show and tell, so we're just going to get right to work, and we'll do it. All right, let me switch around. Say hello to everyone. So, get this in a good spot for today. Maybe something like that. There's no palette cam today either, so since it's all just, today is all, what I did was, I'll give you a rundown real quick if you missed the Monday night feed. This is an ampersand clay board. It was actually a 9x12, but I cut it down to 8x10 because I didn't have any 8x10s left, and I really wanted this 8x10. It just really works well. There we go. Hello, JC. What's up? Franz, what's happening? James, what's going on? Honey, what is going on? Excellent. Actually, I'll try to get the comments over here so I can see you guys, which makes it much easier. There we go. That's much easier. Okay. Yeah, so it starts out as a ampersand clay board, which has a really nice finish on it. And then what I did was I mixed up a kind of a light ivory color. And this is Autoborn Sealer White, which I just talked about in the Tech Tuesday this week. Add a little bit of yellow ochre and a little bit of black to it to get to this. And then just started, I sketched it all out and started painting, and that's where we're at. So we're going to kind of work on this area right here, because I know I won't be able to get the whole thing kind of done where I want it to be done. I mean, if this was a full-blown painting, it could take, you know, hours and hours and hours, and I don't want to do that. I just want to kind of get it finished up for today. So yeah, so here's my reference photo, and that's what I'm working on. This is, of course, Michelangelo's Moses. So we'll just drop that up here for now. I can show you guys the actual reference photo, but that's pretty much it. So gives you a good idea. There we go. There's Chris. What's going on? We're just getting ready to go sailing and start a live video. James, that's awesome. What a day to go sailing. It's beautiful here in Northeast Ohio. It's 80 degrees and sunny. I have my windows open here, and it's nice to get it to a point with the art dungeon to change the air from the winter time. So back to the original point about you know how you could spend I could spend all the time on this. I could spend 100 hours if I really wanted to, as I got into the details, adjusting color. You notice how kind of orangey the photo is. I could add all that in, but again, we're looking to, I mean, the piece is almost there right now, so we're just looking to kind of give it that final bump. So what I'm going to do is I have a lot of pencil drawings down here that I didn't get the darks in. I'm going to throw those darks in first, and then we'll get into really deep darks to kind of get the details and some of the highlights in. So what I will do, though, come with me. There we go. Can I do this? Which camera is it going to go to? Should have set this up before. Let me set this up, or I'll make this a little bit bigger so we can see it. Oh, beautiful in Oregon. That's great. Hey, Cody, what's up, buddy? All right, let me switch this. So I'm going to make this camera thing a little bit bigger so that you guys can see it. Let's try this. Yeah, that's better. And I'm going to move that a little bit. It looks like it got bumped. Oh, no, it didn't. I know. It's cropping it. But if I do this, then you guys would kind of get the overhead view. Even though it's not quite the right color, this camera isn't set up for the same color as the big camera, but you get the idea. There we go. That's better. All right. Since there is no, like I said, there's no paintbrushing with this, so there's no palette cam. So this will give you the overhead view. All right. So what I'm going to do, what I did Monday is you can use base coat sealer. through a smaller brush like this Micron B, but you just have to really over reduce it. So I talk about this in Tuesday's Tech Tuesday, that they don't recommend reducing, like over reducing the outerborne sealer, but that's when you're putting it as a ground coat, when you want that correct coverage and you want to be able to sand it and all the things I did in this week's Tech Tuesday. For this, I'm not using it in the same way. I'm using it for the color, not the actual paint. So really what I'm treating it as is like an opaque white. So that's kind of what's going on there. So this, I can over reduce this. So I put about 3 drops in. I'm going to put about 6 to 8 drops of reducer to really kind of wipe this out. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of black. I may have to use a palette actually, so I can get some black here. I need some black and some like a brown, like a burnt umber. There's a lot of water in this palette, and I don't know why I filled it so much. So a little bit of black. You can't see it. Well, you actually can see it off the side, sort of. A little bit of burnt umber, and this gives me that. It's a similar color, but it's just darker in value. And this is what I'll use to kind of finish up the other areas down here. So how are you all doing? Everyone doing well on this fine Thursday? We're crazy here. I have a couple really nice painting type jobs going on right now. One, it's a continuation of that whole jet thing that I was doing. And then another one, hopefully I'll be able to share with you as I finish it up. But it's been busy. I just got all the 543s prepped and ready to go for Monday. So I got to get on that because I only have a couple days to get those done. So it's been nuts here. Celebrated my kid's 30th yesterday. Honey, I have one of those, almost. My oldest son, actually his anniversary is on the 14th. His first anniversary. And yeah, he's going to be, he's 93. So he's actually 30 this year. That's crazy. I know, it's so good starting to have children when we were in our teens, right, honey? I mean, when we were like 8. All right. Oh, I should be wearing the gloves because I'm going to touch this and I don't want to do this. This will eventually, when I'm done with this, and I won't do this with you guys, I'll do this after because I need a little spray booth for this. But when I'm done with this, I'm going to spray the whole thing with outerborne sealer. I'm sorry. No, that would be a disaster. I'm going to spray the whole thing with UVLS satin. And that will it'll almost give it the same kind of feel. You won't have the gloss, but it'll protect it all. All right. Yeah, and then my daughter turns 30 next year, and there we go. And then I wait a little while for my son, my youngest son. So before he turns 30, there was a little bit of a break between them. I think I have to go darker than this. See how gray that is? And what I want is that. Not really that. I want that. And so I'm going to have to go a little bit darker with that. But also that gray is a good indication when we talk about color and all that. So that gray that you see there is not so much the gray that's in here. It's that blue shift from the white that's in here. That's what's causing that. So I really want to make sure if I see something like that, that I'm able to warm it up. And that's really what the brown is for. The brown does a good job because it has a lot of that warmth, that orangey color. So that brown really helps to cancel that out, that shift. It'll be more of a rich, dark color like up here instead of that grayed out color that's there. So I'm going to grab some black. Yeah, let me put a little bit more brown in this just to make sure I got it. And it's I keep saying brown, but it's burnt umber that I'm using for this. What else we got? Excellent, excellent. Oh, twins. Holy roly. That's awesome. And James' son is 28. That's awesome. It's so good having kids that age. I mean, it was interesting for me coming here, and Marge's girls are in high school. So it's like going back in time for me, and it's been a lot of fun. But man, it took a lot of energy. I forgot all the running around before they get licenses and that kind of thing. All right, we'll try this one now. So I just darken it up. The good news is once I get this brush processes paint so well. So once I nail this color and get it where I want it, I'll be able to just kind of run through the whole painting. Now that's perfect. So as I'm doing this, now do you see how that one spot looks way more like that up there now? It doesn't have that weird grayish kind of shift to it. So that's what I want. I figure what we'll do today is I'll work for a couple hours and we'll see where we get, and that's how it'll go. Chris is he's already essentially won this painting from the Monday night feed. So we'll give him a bunch more on this and then be able to call it. I'm trying not to use any templates on this only because it's a fun exercise for me. But this right here would be a perfect spot to use like a straight edge, just to kind of block this off like this. So I could just spray the shadow on the whole thing. But I don't know, for whatever reason I decided to do this without anything at all. And again, it doesn't make the painting any better. I can't stress that enough. In fact, it slows it down a lot. As if I just held a sheet here, I could lightly spray in this whole area and that there's a shadow that is cast by the tablets. I could get that done and it would look amazing and it would be all done. But now I got to kind of tippy-toe around it and, you know, make sure I don't get paint on it. It just takes so much longer, and it doesn't, in the end, it's going to look the same. It doesn't do anything. It's not a big deal. So, but again, as far as learning and getting like your freehand skills down, it's a great thing to do because it'll really stretch you out. It'll really make you think in a different way and really challenge your control of the airbrush to do it in a way that's like that, in that freehand way. It's just more difficult. And again, it's like anything. Could you walk across the country? Yes. Would you have amazing experiences? Yes. But if you're trying to get across the country, there are much faster and easier ways to get that done. All right, so again, what I'm doing here is I'm just kind of roughing in all these darker areas so that the pencil lines really don't stick out as much. If you guys have any questions, please, please, please let me know. I appreciate airline videos. They're so awesome. I wish I had the courage to speak on camera like you. Aw, James, well, you know, just do it, James, because, you know, as I always say, what could go wrong? Adrian, what's happening? Max, what is going on, buddy? All right. So again, just what I'm doing really is I'm just kind of burying these pencil lines. I know I'm not going to get to the whole painting. You know, all these great darks that are down in here. I know I'm not going to get to all that, but if I can kind of minimize some of these pencil sketchy lines, then that will make me a little bit happier. And out in the open, this is very brown. So again, it's going to work. It's going to work fine. I'm not overly worried about it. Yes, and I'm super excited for this week's 543s. Again, if you're not hanging out with us on Facebook, every Monday night we do another live feed on Monday nights at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard. So I know it's late for the UKers, but what we do is I take suggestions every week. Honey makes sure I don't run over time, which is important. And then out of those suggestions that I get during the week, I pick 5 of them and do little black and white paintings. And whoever suggested a painting, whether I choose it or not to do it as a painting, all those people are put into a hat, and then one person wins one of the paintings. They can choose one of the 5 that I did for the week, or they can pick one of the ones that are on the website. And if you want to see them for real, just if you go to my website at stephenleahy.com, just go to the store and select the category 543, and you'll see a whole bunch of them on there. So those are the paintings. They're little 3x4 black and white paintings, and it's been a blast. So I've got all the ideas ready to go. I just got to get on them and start painting, but I'm really excited about this grouping of 5. There's some great suggestions last week, or this week, I guess, and it's going to be fun. All right. I will figure out something for YouTube too. I just can't figure it out. Couldn't help you this Monday past. Disaster and couldn't pass. Yeah, oh God, honey, for crying out loud. You get a pass. My gosh. And you know what? You'd be proud. You trained everyone well. They were all on it for you. So it worked out really well. And this week, Mike Stevenson won, which was great. Mike has a lot of great like wildlife suggestions. He's always the one posting suggestions. Well, it's kind of a mix. He posts a lot of different things, but a lot of his are nature related, so they're a lot of fun to do. I love it that it seems like, I mean, there are a lot of suggestions from everyone, and they're all over the road, but it is neat that sometimes, people have like, you can tell like that they just keep suggesting the same style or the same topic. Not necessarily the same actual thing, but they always have like the same rough like idea, and I like that. I think it's really fun because I can expect it from people now. Certain people always suggest cars. Certain people always suggest some type of technology. Like I said, Mike will often suggest some sort of nature, like animal or something like that. It's just a lot of fun. But again, you can suggest anything you want. It's half the fun, and the weirder the suggestion, sometimes the better. I've gotten some really good ones. Yeah, just a lot of fun. In the beginning, when I was doing them as a kind of a raffle thing, I was coming up with the paintings on my own, and that's fine and everything, but it's so much more fun for me to go through all these suggestions and see what people are asking for and pick something like that. It's too much fun. Oh, James, absolutely, my pleasure. Get my knife here. I don't want to stab myself. All right. I don't know if my big fat head gets in the way, just let me know. I'm trying to keep an eye on the camera too, but we'll see. All right, this finger up here, I never really got to. Yeah, again, I gotta kind of, what I'll do is I'll spend a little bit of time just finishing up this mid-tone here, just kind of blocking everything in. And again, I could spend hours and hours doing this, and it's the beauty of a painting like this. You just go crazy. But again, the idea here is to get this out to Chris. Well, actually, it looks like it's going to ship next week now because I got to give it. What I do is once I have it all, once I have it all clear coated, I usually give it 24 hours to really dry and set up. You don't have to. It's usually ready to go in about a half an hour to an hour, but giving it that little bit of extra time really, really helps. It just really locks everything down. So anyway, if I get a chance to get this out on Saturday, I will, but more than likely it will ship on Monday. So like I said, with the whole area, I said it was kind of, the photo is more orange. So I can use this color because remember I said it has a lot of brown in it. So I can kind of really lightly go over like everything. Not everything, but just generally. And that will kind of take care of that. It'll introduce that brown back in, or that orangey color back in. I think the hand's pretty close. And again, I'll try to keep an eye on the comments and questions. If, like I said, if you have any, please let me know. Andre, what's up? How's it going? Since I didn't have a chance to bid, I'll talk to you about getting something done. Oh, honey, you're the best. Yes, we do have to do that. So, I don't know. I think I know what you're talking about, honey. Honey graciously donated her win from a couple weeks ago to someone else. So we're going to do a special kind of drawing for that Honey and I worked out. So we got to get that done too. Yeah, this will work out really, really well. I'm going to use this color as many places as I can. And then once I get it to the point where I feel it's pretty good, then what I'll do is I'll switch one more time to the really lighter areas, pull out some of the highlights again that may have gotten lost, and then we'll go from there. Go into the darkers, the real darks, which will be a lot of fun because cutting in all this stuff for real is going to really like pop that out, really like make those fingers seem like they're in like a three-dimensional space. Yas. Simon Carter. Use a respirator. Wait, where am I at, Andre? Use mask, respirator, create text. Yes, Andre, I think I know what you're saying. And yes, I'm going to go with the default. You should be wearing a mask with any airbrushing, period. You're talking about using like a respirator to protect your lungs. That is always, always, always a good idea. This stuff is non-toxic and non-flammable, but it's basically airborne plastic. So I'm going to use a do as I say, not as I do moment here, because I will frequently work without a mask. When I do wear a mask is when I'm base coating this. Like I have a little spray. Actually, Mike Stevenson made it for me. I have a little spray booth. And so even in the little spray booth, when I'm doing the complete spray of this or the clear and that kind of thing, I'll wear a mask because there's a lot of overspray. But for my specific type of work, when I'm doing like really tiny, tight stuff, there is so little material coming out of the airbrush that I don't really get a whole bunch of overspray, if any at all. Meaning that's overspray, for those who don't know, is when you spray the airbrush, the paint that doesn't stick to the surface and just ends up in the air, that's overspray. And that's what we're talking about breathing. You don't want that. So for me, since I work so small and there's so little of that, I don't usually wear a mask when I'm doing this kind of stuff. And I definitely don't wear a mask when I'm doing the live feeds, because you'd never hear what I was saying. Someone's got to invent a mask with a microphone in it. That would be amazing. Tabs, what's up? Seems like these are usual done in cooler grays. Yeah, I wanted that really warm kind of marbly feel. So I specifically started out with a color that I'd have to fight a little bit, and that was that yellow ochre. And it certainly would have been a great, if you did this study with just black and white, that would be, really powerful and equally impressive. But I just wanted that little touch of something. It's amazing. Obviously, this is going to be monochromatic because not really monochromatic because I used, yellow ochre and burnt umber. But for the most part, it's pretty, it's a pretty limited palette. But it's, your mind knows what ivory looks like, and it reads as full color because that's just what it is. It's just the color that you're given. Obviously, everything else has been cropped out of this. The rest of Moses' throne, I guess, or seat where he's sitting, is very ornate, and I think there's other things going on than marble in that. So there are different colors and that kind of thing. But for this, it's certainly, this is what we were going for, I think. And again, I said this Monday night when I was working on this. It's just a neat change of pace. I can't really show you the other stuff I'm working on, but the other project that I got going on is super tight and super crazy, detail type stuff. And it's just so nice to take a minute and just kind of blast paint on, without worrying about shields or masks or paintbrushes or anything like that. It's just nice. It's a nice change of pace. So much so that I had such a good time doing this. I think I'm going to do more of these. Start them as a series, and just every once in a while when I need a break, just kind of pick an old master, either sculpture or even I mean, I can even do a study of an old master's painting, but just translate it into like a monochromatic value study. I think that'll be a lot of fun too. So that's the goal. But first thing I got to do is order more ampersand clayboard, because I thought I had more 8x10, but I do not. This color was a wonderful, happy accident. At first I'm like, oh, there's too much brown in it, but it's actually perfect, because I'm able to, like I said in the beginning, replace a lot of that orange that should have been there that wasn't yet. So. Oh, good. I'm glad. You guys agree. Yeah, it'd be fun, every once in a while, and then, just, I probably, well, maybe I'll raffle them all off. We'll have to see how that goes, as far as the raffling goes, because Chris got a great deal on this, and I totally appreciate that he played along and bid on it, but if these sell for more in line of what the other paintings go for, I can put a lot more time into them too. So I'm not sure if I'll raffle all in the series off, but we'll see what happens. So this paint, again, the Otterborn sealer is not designed for this. It's not designed to be reduced and sprayed like a color. So this is clogging in the airbrush a lot. Plus, I've chosen the micro smallest airbrush that Iwata makes, the Micron B. So that's even more so that this does not want to play nice. But I know that, and I'm expecting that. And so it just needs to be cleaned out a lot. Like the nozzle needs to be maintained. The needle needs to be picked off frequently. It's going to clog. I can't get too much tight detail with it, but again, I know that, and I'm expecting that, so it's okay. It's really more for just this color, just to kind of lay in this this color. That being said, I mean, like what just happened here, I can get some really tight detail with it, but I just can't expect it to do a lot and all the time, because it just doesn't want to do it. And it's not designed to, so it's not like it's failing, it's just doing what it's made to do. Holy Moses. It's a great statue, though. If you get a chance and you're not familiar or haven't seen it in a while, just look up Michelangelo's Moses, and it's not your usual Obi-Wan Kenobi Moses type of image. This Moses is clearly on top of his game. He's ripped. He's obviously angry. So some of the stories go that it's supposed to, kind of show Moses and his feeling as he was coming down with the Ten Commandments to find all of the people who were following him worshiping a golden calf. So he wasn't happy about that, and you could tell in the statue. Michelangelo did, as you would expect, it just a crazy cool job. All right, I'm good with this. There we go. Yeah, I think I'm doing all right. What a happy accident. I guess it wasn't really an accident, but like I said, having too much brown in that I thought was going to be a problem, but it actually kind of shored everything up very nicely in the end. All right. I think that's good. Where are we at? Ryan, what's happening? Ryan, thank you for all the great comments over the week. That is awesome, man. So thank you all for comments and likes and shares and subscription buttons and all that stuff. This YouTube channel is growing, and I could not be happier. And it's it's just making me super, super happy. So thank you for all that you guys do. And like I said, simply clicking the like button on videos or even watching a video all the way through, no matter what it is, it helps out more than you guys will ever know. Well, if you do YouTube, you know how much it helps out. But engagement is everything for YouTube and how they push your content. And you guys have been fantastic. So thank you. Cheers to that. Cheers to that. I am cheersing today, by the way. I picked a Rheingeist, and this is Night Glow, which is it's a fruited sour. So I was thinking of my daughter Emily. Whenever I go home, I always find weird sour beers to try with her because she likes sours. So this is one I would definitely bring back. It's nice. It's really super light, so it almost doesn't count as day drinking. But I went a few weeks in a row without having cheers with my UK friends, so trying to make up for lost time. All right, I think I'm good with this color. Nah, not really. Since I got it, I might as well do a little bit more. His forearm is just awesome. I mean, it's obvious that, Michelangelo knew exactly what he was doing as far as anatomy, but to see it in action is it's just amazing. It's so much fun to follow in his footsteps, or I don't even want to say follow in his footsteps. I'm more like crawling behind him somewhere in the dirt. He is just such a genius. Just could see so much in the anatomy, and then not only that, just forget about knowing that, the knowing the anatomy the way he did, to then be able to translate it into a giant hunk of rock is just mind-bending. It really is crazy. So it took Michelangelo 2 years to sculpt this, and it was done. It was commissioned by the current Pope at the time as a funeral, like a statue for his tomb. Is what I'm trying to say. So the Pope never saw it finished. In fact, his tomb had dragged on a little bit, and he wasn't placed in that tomb until more than a few years after his death. But still, it is fantastic. It's in Rome, so you can go and check it out. All right, now I'm feeling good. So what I do is I just kind of bump that whole forearm back, because really, again, I want to kind of have this painting, since I know I'm not going to finish it, I want to kind of have this painting focused on this area right here. And I think we're just about there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to really super clean this out. I got to get all that base coat sealer out, because I want to kind of switch to just a black to kind of start really cutting things in. And I want to make sure that everything is out of that. So what I use, and you guys can't see this because I'm off the camera, but what I'm using is to clean out my brush in between, I use rubbing alcohol to break any paint up that's in there. And then after that's all cleaned out, then I flush it out with just regular water. And do those two things on a regular basis, and you rarely have to take apart the brushes. Okay. What else we got while I'm cleaning brushes? Cheers. Thanks, Simon. Cheers to you too. All right. All right, so we're just going to jump to black. I'm just going to go for it. This should be darker here. I should have used that same mix on that to dump that down, but oh, it's leaking. There we go. Quick connect wasn't all the way on. Okay. What is doing? Oh, I know what's doing it. Okay. Let's pick this one. See how this works. So again, this is straight up black. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time just really cutting in details here. I really wish I got that. I really need to get that. All right, give me 2 seconds here. So I don't want to dirty up that brush, so I'm going to grab another one. And the reason why I don't want to dirty that particular brush is because I just cleaned it out and I want to use that for the really deep black. So instead of cleaning out, having to do that brush again, I'm going to just grab the other Micron and do the same mix basically. So I'm going to put a few drops of that in there. Now the reason why I'm doing this, and I get a little bit of black here, And again, that key component was the brown. The reason why I'm using a different brush as well is because if I need this color, I'll have it loaded into this brush and ready to go. Let's get some reducer in this. Yeah, a little bit of reducer. May need more brown. No, that looks pretty good. Ooh, that looks really good. I do need more black though, that's too light. Yeah, this looks really good, but I'm gonna grab some more black. Yes, yes, that's what I want. So this is actually darker than what I just had, but this is gonna work out fine. And again, now I have this in this brush, so if I need it, I got it. Like this should have been really dark too, this little triangle right here. I should have been concentrating on this area. So the reason why I'm doing all this is if I put the dark, really super darks in here in the finger and everything, and then I go and try to darken this with just black, it's going to turn like a weird grayish color. It's not going to have the same feel that the rest of the area does. What am I doing here? Come on, man. There we go. That's better. Ah, yes, that's lovely. All right. So now I can go over this whole little area right here under his pinky finger and push all that way back. I should push this back too because it needs to be a lot darker than it is eventually. So again, I just want to make sure I have this color anywhere where I'm going to put the black. If I don't, again, I'll get this just a weird kind of grayish color because again, the black is going to be really transparent and it's going to just not, I mean, you're going to see whatever's underneath, almost like a lens through the black. So I want to make sure that I have the same color underneath that black no matter where it goes. That feels pretty good. This is really dark over here, so I'm going to add a bunch of it over here in anticipation of the black. That's probably okay there. That's probably okay there. All right, so now what I do is I take this brush and grab the cap for it, drop the cap on it because I probably won't be using this for a while, so that helps to keep the paint from drying out on me while I'm not using it. I missed something. You spraying sealer through the micron. Ryan, yes, but I don't suggest it. That was laziness. So what I did was, again, I used I mixed up a sealer base for this painting. So this sealer base is base coat sealer white and yellow ochre and a little bit of black. And that's what, if the lightest colors like here, that's this color here. So I sprayed the whole thing with this first to act like a mid-tone to start. It just speeds things up and gives the painting a solid look from the start. Rather than recreate this color with opaque white, yellow ochre, and black, which is what I really should have done, I just cheated and took this and reduced the hell out of it in this brush. So again, it's not recommended because it doesn't spray very well. It actually sprays pretty crappy. But for the few instances that I needed it, that's what I kind of did. So hopefully that catches you up with that. All right, black. Now this black is one of the pre-reduced blacks. This is 1 part paint to 10 parts reducer. So it is really, really thin. And it works, this color works really, really well through the micron. I'm gonna get you guys a little closer. Maybe. Yeah, try that. So I'm going to start with the darkest area, which is between his middle finger and ring finger. And I'm just going to kind of get it going here and see what it looks like. And I talked about this on Monday, so the more intense a value gets or more intense a color gets, the less of it is usually in a painting. So as that first medium tone that I basically sketched everything out with, I used that everywhere. It was all over this thing. And then the next color, which was that slightly darker color, that, it popped in and out, but it wasn't in the same number of spaces that the first value was in. And then this one here at the end is even in fewer spaces, again, because if I use this everywhere, this black everywhere on this, like I included on his knuckles, and I'm working on his hand with it, it'll just flatten everything out. It's the punch of the two different values that really makes it work that way. So keep that in mind. Jim over the comments. Oh, James, awesome, buddy. Thank you. Does anybody know if you airbrush pottery into a clear glaze that is possible? James, I think it is. It's amazing. The person that invented, well, I'll grab one. The guy responsible for these freehand templates, so anything that's Art Tool freehand, this is made by Medea, but it's still along the same line. So Gabe McCubbin is the person who invented all the freehand shields in the beginning, all those Art Tool. He's a great ceramicist as well. So he does a lot of that now. That's what his thing is. So if anyone would know, he would know. But yeah, I would hit up as many any forums or any pages on Facebook or even on YouTube videos that it shows it. But that I'm not 100% sure. I mean, I'm assuming that there's some way to get some of it done, because anything that's liquid, you can pretty much get through some sort of spray device, spray gun or airbrush. It's just finding the right one. One that'll do the job for you. I'm going to just make sure I feel like I might have made a mistake by using sealer through this. It's going to take a while for that to fully clear out. There we go. And I may actually want to jump to the little bit darker or the little bit heavier black. No, this is okay. So I have different reductions of this black because they all do different things. So this 1 to 10 is a neat balance with these airbrushes, these 2 microns, of being able to develop like a really super dark, but also have a ton of control over it. Now the trade-off is it takes a lot more coats to get to saturation when it's over reduced like this. So that's the trade-off. You trade that ability to do like micro small lines to have to go over it 10 or 20 times to get it as dark as you want it to. It's rare to find a paint and an airbrush that will do like 100% opacity with super control and detail. I haven't found that paint. It just seems like, it's you get one or the other, and that's fine as long as you're aware of it and are ready to kind of deal with it. Because I don't mind going over things a bunch of times to get it, as long as I have the control. The control for me is more important than the coverage. So I do have different versions of this reduced paint. Like I have a 1 to 20, which is even more transparent and you get more control out of it. But again, it takes forever to cover with it. So I use that for things like the softest shades. Like if I have to do like shading on a face where it's very subtle, I'll use the 1 to 20. But I won't ever try to cover anything with it. And then I have the other end of the spectrum where I have 1 to 5 and 1 to 1, which don't spray necessarily as well. They do spray great, but they don't spray with super detail, but they cover really well. So if I'm just blocking in an area with a like a dark value, then I'll use those heavier ones. But the other thing about that too is you have to key the brush to it. Like I mean I could use the 1 to 1 mix in this brush, but it just doesn't like it. It just likes really super thin paint. So it's knowing that too. And again, now I can slow down. I can kind of concentrate on this the hand area. And I could spend a little bit more time on this because that's really what we're looking at. We're looking at this part of the painting. Yeah. But this is, like I said, geez, I could spend so much time on this. It's so much fun just kind of wheeling around this thing. So working with a darker color or a darker value on another darker value, it's difficult to see the application of paint. So I kind of look at it from an angle so I can see the wet paint being applied. And that way I can just kind of sneak up on it. The tendency is, and I've talked about this before, the tendency is you want to see that change in value. So you end up, if you don't see it right away, you end up pushing really hard and putting a lot of paint on there. And since this is so thin, it just spider webs everywhere. James, absolutely. I wish I had more info on that. But, you know, stay on the channel, because Marge, my better half here, is a sculptor, and I know she's done clay and glazing before, but her stuff now is more casting and things like that. But I know she'll get back into it. So sooner or later, if you don't find the answer first, you know, sooner or later, one of us is going to come up with it. So, oh, you get so tight with this. Oh, I love it. Like I said, you could just do so much on this thing. Just spend hours. All right, what happens here? Oh, okay. His middle finger goes behind his beard here. Beard here. I was going to say here, but I got stuck in my head between here and hair, which is both. They're both right, but. Oh, words. So his middle finger goes behind. It's neat. His pinky and his middle finger go behind his beard. His ring finger is obviously folded down here. That's the end of his ring finger right there. And then his index finger is on top of his beard. And this is one of the things that people comment about this sculpture. It's just the way that his hair looks like it's glossy and soft, when obviously you know it's a big, huge chunk of marble. He was quite the sculptor, and also a great Ninja Turtle. So here's a good example too, like the shadow that's cast by his beard onto his middle finger. That has that brown color on it. If it didn't, it would, like I said, it would turn this weird gray color if I tried to make this value work as just the value by itself. So that was a pretty good example of that. What's going on in his beard? Now there is gray in his beard though, as this shadow is underneath. It catches some weird kind of, I don't know, but it looks cooler. It's like a cooler shadow, so it's catching something. So I can use the black right on here, get away with that. Party dude, Tabs, what's up, buddy? The trigger on your airbrush looks smooth, and of course your skills are just amazing. Thanks, James. So this is the standard Micron trigger pad, the new square one. At first I didn't like it, but I'm getting used to it. The reason why I didn't like it as much is because I usually come at the trigger at an angle, and that since it's squared off now, that back corner just like digs right into my finger. I did get used to it from using it, but I guess that's my only gripe with it. What I do with all the triggers is a little piece of 400 sandpaper, wet and dry sandpaper, that I cut out and put on the top, and that just gives me a little bit of traction there. So I do that with most brushes. Most, if not all, brushes. But yeah, it is a really smooth operating airbrush. It's definitely my go-to detail brush. Again, it's like a supercar, man. It's not some. I mean, yeah, you would want to take it as a daily driver every day. You know, go buy groceries with it and do all kinds of stuff with it. But it's like I said, it's like a supercar. It can be picky. You need to kind of treat it in a certain way. It just like a supercar, it needs the best gas, all of it. So, but yeah, hands down, it's one of my favorite brushes to use, just because it's so brutally sensitive. I mean, it does such a good job. It's one of those things that, I know it's not as popular, like the new Takumi, the SB, the side feed is ragingly popular right now. It's the same brush as this spec-wise. It has same size nozzle and needle, but it's a side feed brush. I just love the way the gravity feed kind of feels. It's like instant paint. And you can use, this brush will operate on a drop of paint because it's gravity feed, and you just put the paint right in there. So I hope they never stop making this. Just one of my favorites. Thanks for the lunch date. Actually, that's awesome, Ryan. Very cool. Thanks, buddy. And again, thanks for all the great comments. All right, so I'm going to put a little bit of time in on the beard here because, well, one, I really like it, and two, it's in that same area. I think this is going to be the painting right here. The rest is fine, you know, the forearm and everything, and you know, there's only so much time that I'm able to kind of put in this, but I think this is the area right here that will be the true guts of this painting, so to speak. So I can kind of work the darkest areas right in this area here. There's even like, he carved in like the actual hairs in the beard. Just crazy. Michael, what's up, buddy? Oh, that's good, Michael. Thank you. Yeah, James, you do have to get your airbrushes going. They never go away. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. It's one of those things. Like it just keep. I don't know. No matter what I would end up doing, like I can see myself. John Luke Smith was just talking on his feed about getting back into oil painting, and I know, you know, that's on my path as well. But I know that, like anything, like when I get back into oil painting, I'm going to oil paint like I airbrush. I'm going to want it to look like look like my airbrush paintings, because it's just that feeling that I really like to see in the artwork. So you just never really get away from it, which is not a bad thing. All right, since I took the time to get these, like his finger and everything, darkened, I'll do a little bit of work down in here to really kind of darken this area too. Then this will also help to set off the rest of his hand too. And hopefully you can kind of get a feel too, like, I don't know if there's any, well, yeah, in his forearm you can see it. So in his forearm, since I haven't put too much time into that, you can still kind of see the pencil lines here. But all the stuff I've been doing in his hand now, almost all the pencil lines are just about buried. And if they're not, I can just keep working on them and you know, kind of wipe them out. So that's really the fun part about that really loose pencil sketch in the beginning. I don't really have to worry about erasing it before I go. I mean, you can. I used to do it all the time. You know, I'd do the whole drawing and then I would take time and lighten all the pencil lines so that they'd be almost invisible. But in my kind of moving along, I like the results of having to literally go in and bury those pencil lines. Like I have to make sure there's enough paint on this piece now that it covers the pencil lines. And that really forced me to use more paint than I was using before, which was a great thing. Again, as in the beginning when I had these super light pencil lines, you could see those pencil lines even at the end of the painting because I was working really transparently. And as a result, you could still see those sketching lines. Which again, if that's what you're looking for, that's great, but that's not what I wanted. It was an inability to get it done the way I really felt it needed to be done. And then I had a great critique from an oil painter, and that was one of the things he had said. He said, "So do you mean to have these pencil lines showing?" And I'm like, "No, I really don't." He said, "Well, then why are they?" And I'm like, "Oh, you're right. They shouldn't be." So, Robert Douglas Hunter was that artist's name. Great oil painter from the New England area. It was an amazing opportunity to bring like my meager work and put it in front of him as a kid. And I really was. I was in my early 20s and didn't have much to show, but he was great. Michael, just got done cleaning three of my airbrush with alcohol for the first time. Now I have 3 more to go before Saturday. That's awesome, Michael. Spa day for your airbrushes is always a good day. I was just thinking of that. Sooner or later, as soon as I get done with this project I'm working on now, that's on the bench now, I think I might have a spa day for my airbrushes as well. They need it. Because what happens is, if you keep putting that job off, sooner or later, your airbrushes, like anything that you own, they're just going to stop working. And that's going to happen when you need them the most. Ask me how I know that. All right, so this area right here is really, really, really dark. It's black. The question is do I want to do that? Will it take away from this? I'm going to start it and see what it looks like. So this works the same way here. I can't just use the black here because I didn't put enough of that brown there to kind of knock this back. So I'm going to use the other brush that has that in it, and I'm going to add a bunch of that brown here to kind of start the job. This will do a couple things. One, it'll act as the base if I do decide to take this all the way down to black. And two, it'll give me a rough preview of how that looks compositionally. So let that dry a little bit and sit back and take a look at it. Actually, I'll pull you guys back too, because what I am literally doing is sitting back and looking at it to see. And I like it. I like how dark that darkness actually helps to push this string of, or collection of hair out. So I'm going to darken that up. I'm not going to go black all the way to the edge though. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit this with the brown, but kind of fade that out near the edge and leave that. So that way when I cut the black in, I'll do the same thing. If I run the black all the way to the edge, and that compositionally, that's going to force your eye over there, and I don't want to do that. So that'll work well. I'm assuming this area down here is also equally as dark, so I'm going to hit that real quick. That's good. And up here is nothing. Here is just in the light. Up here, though, a little bit. Good. Oh, there's so much that's going on in this. I'll show you another little thing that would have been a really nice thing to put in, but I'm not going to. So marble is translucent when it gets thin enough. So you can see the light coming through, so it's reflecting off of what's going on here, and there's light actually coming through this tablet. This would be amazing to include in the painting. I'm not going to, but to include that by basically, that's done with using a brighter orange and then using the darker colors on top, and then it will give it that kind of glowing feeling, and then of course the light edge on that, the really light highlight. That would just tell so much about the painting, but again, not for this one. La, 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 la. Don't forget your sunscreen. Yes, don't forget your sunscreen. That's awesome. I want to go sailing. Takes me away to where I want to. Oh boy. There's not enough Christopher Cross in the world. All right, back to black. Back in black. So all those, I'll finish this little curl right here. Where are we at? You guys can see enough of what's going on, right? Move that up a little bit. Good. I'll finish this curl right here so you can kind of get a feel for what I was talking about. So I'm going to start right on the edge. Again, it's all about the edges first, and then you just kind of backfilling everything after. I don't know why I'm talking like everything is a question at the end, but here we go. I got the edge there. So from there, then I can start to really just lightly fade it out towards that edge. But this way I can keep an eye on it, and once it has the effect that I want, then I can just stop. And I think that looks pretty good right there. So that's good. That now this whole thing just like pops out. I don't know if you can pick it up, but that yeah, it's tough to see with the camera. Like down here, see how brown that is and nice? You know, that's like got a lot of really, it's shaded, but it's still got that warm color to it. Up here, see how gray that is compared to this down here? So that's what I was talking about. So when I sprayed that black in there, there was none of that brown underneath it, and that's what happens. It gives it that, you know, that cooler black feeling, that bluish feeling. Again, on this, that's, you know, unless I pointed it out to you, it's a difficult thing to see. So it's not, you know, it's not a disaster by any stretch, but what happens across the whole painting is if that was going on across the whole painting, your eye would connect all those grayish areas, and they'd look unfinished. They'd feel like they're a different part of, like a different, it would make it feel like it's a different material, like it's not all marble, it's something else there. So it's something to be kind of wary of as you're treating, like if it's all supposed to be the same material, you really have to kind of paint it in the same way. Or use the same steps in essence. Don't skip like me. What else we got? Awesome, awesome, awesome. Oh, Max, this is ampersand clay board. Like I said, this is a this was a 9x12. Here we go. This was a 9x12 panel. What I love about ampersand is it's actually very, very easy to cut. So I wanted an 8x10 panel, so I just cut it down. You just need a really good blade, a really, you know, like a fine tooth detail blade, and then and I put a piece of tape on the front surface, the clay surface, just to keep it from, you know, chipping or whatever. And yeah, you can cut them down, and then you just take a little bit of sandpaper and kind of round over the corners, and it's ready to go. So you can literally make any size you want. They offer a ton of sizes, but you can literally cut it down to whatever you want, which is really nice. And for me, I work so small, so the inch I took off of this, I'll just save and use it for other paintings. Come back to me, my focusy type of thing. All right. All right, let's do the top part here. I feel like this, now, yeah, like I said, this corner is the painting right now, which is good. It's fine. Chris knows what he's getting. He knows it's a study and it's partial. But I am definitely going to do more of these. I wanted to do a portrait series, and I still may do it, of marble, like basically portraiture in marble, because I really just love the whole look of it. So we'll have to see what happens with that. But in any event, I will definitely be doing more of these studies because they are just so much fun to do. And man, you just learn so much, you know. This little knuckle area too, there's a little bit of that brown missing there. Again, if I pop that in with just the black, it's going to be that weird grayish color. So I'm going to jump back to the dark brown color and just kind of start by putting that in first, and then I can darken it with the black if I need to. This brownish color is pretty dark by itself, so I may not even need to do that. So what's going on, Max? How are you doing? Now, what I can also do too, since this is reasonably transparent, like that area there that I was just talking about, that I put the black on there, that has kind of a grayish cast to it and shouldn't, I can go back in over it really lightly with this brown, more brown color, and I can just tint away that bluish color. So there are ways to get around it without having to, you know, repaint it or go nuts with it. How's everything in the UK too? You guys doing all right? I missed Fee this week, and I'll probably miss him again this week because Saturdays have been crazy around here. But he comes on, well, same time. He comes on like around 1 or 2 our time here in the US. So sometimes I'm you know, in the studio finishing things up and I can watch him. And then sometimes I'm just, you know, running around. And which is going to be probably the case this week too, but I do love catching him. Nice. You guys can't see anything I'm doing. Got the day off. Oh, that's good, man. Nice. I'm doing all that stuff down there and you guys can't see what I'm doing. Ah, boy. You guys can yell at me anytime you want. Still got the brown in here, so I'm going to kind of go over this and get this ready. I'm going to darken this up next. Again, I'm going to kind of work in this area and radiate out and see how far I can get today. Because where it ends today is where it ends. So. But it feels good. It feels good right now. I'm happy with it. That feels too dark though, because it is. So when something's too dark, the way to lighten it up, if you can't lighten it up, like I can't, to go over that with another color would mean a repair in this whole area. Screw that. We don't have time for that. So what I'm going to do, so the way you darken or the way you lighten something that's too dark is to darken everything else around it and catch everything else up to that. Obviously, this works to a certain degree. If it was really, really too dark, I wouldn't want to just dump dark paint all over everything to try to catch it up. I'd have to do the repair, but that's not, you know, so offensive that, you know, I'd have to do that. There's enough stuff going on around it that I can, you know, I can kind of dump everything else down a little bit to kind of lighten that up, and that worked out pretty well. Lovely. I so want to move over here, like right over here, but I can't. All right. Back to black. I'm going to dump this down a little bit more in here. So this, from here on out, it's all about, now that I've pretty much established that this is the main part of the painting. Now everything else is going to be about pushing that. So I'm going to kind of really work in this area too to darken that up, because darkening this up will really push his hand out and give it like a real three-dimensional feel. Adrian, sunny and wet in the UK, did a car show with our cars, saw some Ace airbrush vans, Nimbus airbrush, enjoying retirement and chilling. That's awesome, Adrian. And Simon's doing good. Long weekend for the coronation. Oh, that's right. That's right. That's awesome. You guys have a king. I don't even know what to say about that. It's been God Save the Queen for so long. You guys are lined up for a bunch of kings. Well, not a bunch of kings. Yeah, actually, you are. A bunch of kings. There should be brown on this little fold right here, but I'm gonna roll with it and see what it looks like. If it doesn't look right, I'll just hit it with the brown, but I think it'll be fine. Gary Shees, what's up, brother? Nimbus airbrush. I have to look up Nimbus airbrush. Trying to think if there's any hints I can give you about the 543s that won't give them away for this week, but I really can't. If I give hints, I know you guys are going to pick up on them and you'll figure it out. I do have to get on them though. Usually by Thursday I have a 1 or 2 done, and then I usually, end the week. I just kind of chill out the end of the week on Friday and just finish up the rest of the 543s. Because again, it's a lot like doing this painting. The 543s happen reasonably fast for me, and they're fun for me to work on. So that's usually how I end the week around here. But this week, tomorrow, I will be at Kent with Marge at 2 p.m. when she graduates. So I'm not going to be able to work on them tomorrow, but I will get them done. And we'll have them ready for Monday. So I want to put a shield right there. Again, just put a shield on there and call it a day. Get a nice crisp line, and that would really pop those tablets out too. But I said I wasn't going to use any shields, so I'm not using any shields or erasers or whatever. The only non-airbrush tool I used on this was the pencil to draw everything in. What else am I missing? What do we got going on? When we get a new president here in the States, it's like tennis, the direction of the country goes back and forth. That's actually absolutely true, Max. But do you imagine if we had lifelong presidents, like they're like Congress, Gosh, I'm glad we go every 4 years. Yeah, Chris did get a steal on this, and I'm glad. I'm glad I went to one of the regulars, or in Chris's case, one of the irregulars. What I may do, again, Gary was talking about it earlier too, I'm definitely going to do more of these, and if people are into it for the Monday feeds, if I end up doing it live like I did this one, then I'll definitely raffle them off. If I do them on my own, I know what's going to happen. I'm just going to want to do them like all the way, and then I can't really raffle those off because the dynamic doesn't work for what they're worth. And I always try to make it a win for everyone, including me. That helps, keeps the doors open. But I could definitely see another feed where I'm just like, I got too much going on and I'm burnt out and I just need to do something fun. So I can definitely see more of these happening during the feeds, which means I will always, or I'll try to raffle them off for the feeds. Again, they'll be more like this where, I'll work on them for a couple feeds and then that'll be it. There won't be, like the Harley painting that's going on right now. It won't be like that, but still be good. Yeah, I really want to darken up here too. I mean, I have it even darker than it really is in the reference photo, but I really feel like if I darken this a little bit, it'll really help that hand pop out, but I'm going to leave it the way it is. I think that's close enough. What I also want to do though, even though I didn't do too much work over here, I think having this really deep shadow underneath the corner of his wrist here on the tablets will again kind of tie this whole area in together, which makes me a happy camper. Oh, thanks, Gary. I try. Yes, Cody. She is. I'm no longer dating a college chick, which makes me kind of sad, but it's okay. Yeah, it's super exciting. I don't know if she posted it. She did this great, crazy sculpture. It's these interlocking rings, and they look like they're made out of styrofoam, but they're actually made out of bronze. So she cast it, and it's the coolest thing. So that that sculpture is actually going into a show as soon as she's done, which is exciting because she's wasting no time. And then I don't know if anyone's around the Northeast Ohio area, but I'll have my motorcycle painting in a show at the Butler Museum of Art at the end of June, which is great. It's a really great museum, and it's an honor to be part of there. They do 2 big shows. They do a lot of shows, but They have their annual and then their mid-year, and this is the mid-year show that's going on. And so yeah, so it's neat having a bike painting in that. They're not, they're no stranger to that kind of art, though. They have a number of Peter Mayer paintings in the museum. And if you haven't seen Peter Mayer's art, it's mind-blowing. He does these hyper-realistic paintings, but they're full-size. Like you walk in, and there's a horse, like a side view of this horse, and it's literally life-size, but it's a painting, and everything is there, the hair, the everything. And he also does cars, too. So he's got a bunch of car paintings in there that are literally bigger than life. It's really, really cool stuff. Thanks, Max. Super happy about that. It'll be a fun show. And then I'm always on the lookout for some other, especially with the new paintings, I want to get them out there. And so I'm always looking for stuff that's going on. I'm going to try to stick local. Normally I'll do like shows wherever across the country, but I'm going to try to stick to local calls so I can get a feel for what's going on in this area. I moved during COVID and everything was shut down, so I have no idea really. I mean, I have a good idea in Pittsburgh, but I want to see what's going on in Cleveland, and I want to see what they got going on there. So I'm going to stick to most of the call for entries around here. And, you know, you can only produce so many paintings a year, so once you commit a painting to a show, you can't really enter anything else with it until you hear either yay or nay. And then if it's yes, then again, you can't put it in another show, obviously. So I have to be kind of selective on what I enter and where they go. Oh, Moses. Holy Moses. Feeling good about Moses right now. Feeling like he worked out pretty well. You can still see the pencil lines, which is good. It's good for Chris because Chris is a artist as well, so he'll be able to appreciate it. Sometimes when you can see all the structure work underneath, you know, that's, like I said, I never do that now. Like if you look at any of the finished paintings that I have, you'll never see that. But for this one, and since it's going to Chris, who's also an artist, it has a different layer of, you know, storytelling, I guess, with it. Now you see all that black I did there? That's just straight up black. Now again, the opaque black has kind of a brownish cast to it, but it's still black. All that seems really warm in there because of that brown underpainting that I did first. All that, the layers of this darker brown that's here. Again, if I didn't have any of that on here, this whole area would be like kind of a cool black color. Again, if it's everywhere, that's perfect. If it's just in this area, then it doesn't seem intentional, and that, you know, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm gonna add a little bit more here, but I think we're pretty much there. So I'll put a little bit in the separation between the two tablets just to kind of give it that definition, and I gotta get on this side for this. I'll run this down. Probably gonna put my big head in the way, so sorry about that. The other thing I gotta do for real is find out where all the good car shows are. I've seen a couple in this area. I'm going to get the brown for this next one. I've seen a couple in this area. There's a big, right next to us is Salem, Ohio, and they have a big car thing that they do in the end of July, I think, or beginning of July or something like that. We usually miss it because we're running around the family around the country. But I got to find out where all the other car shows are in this area because that's always a great place for me to kind of get the automotive and motorcycle stuff out there too. It's like, you know, Syracuse in New York when they have the big thing in Syracuse. That's always the weekend of my big family reunion. So I can never make that, unfortunately. I mean, I could, but I'd have to skip the family, and you know, I don't want to do that. But I'll keep my ears open, and if you guys are in the area and know of anything, it's always good too. All right, so I darken that up. That edge there should be a lot brighter, but it's not going to be for this one. I think that's good. I think I feel pretty good about that. So I think I'm going to sign it, and I think I'm going to clear it this afternoon, and that way it'll be ready to ship on Saturday. Now, okay, so for signing this thing. So I spent all my time over here, not a lot of time over here. So what I think I'm going to do is I think I'm going to sign it right here, and that'll help balance it out. If I sign it over here too, this whole painting is super lopsided. So this is one thing with paintings. Anytime there's any kind of lettering in them, say it had lettering on the tablet, that demands all the attention. Now that includes a signature. A signature just demands a ton of attention. So if you need to balance something out in a painting, that's a great way to do it. You sign it on the opposite part to kind of help balance things out. Now, do I have the right marker to do this? No. Give me 2 seconds. I just got to grab the bigger marker. So I need a big marker for that. We'll use a Sharpie for this. For Chris. Sometimes it doesn't work either. And there we go. So you guys got to see the whole thing. Well, you guys got to see the second half. If you do want to see the beginning of this, I literally started this from scratch on Monday. So you can go to Facebook for this week, and the feed this week is me actually starting this whole thing. So between today's feed, which I'll post in live streams, and the Monday night feed, you'll actually see this whole thing come together. Let me back you guys, because you guys got a glare on it now too. So let me do this so you can actually get a proper view of it. We'll turn that off too. You don't need that one anymore. So this is how it all came out. There you go. So even though I didn't finish this side, it's still okay, you know? And for what Chris got it for, it's very okay. Can you clear with Sharpie? Yeah, Gary, you can. Basically, you want to make sure that it's dry, which Sharpie dries pretty fast. But yeah, you can certainly, and especially with the UVLS, the UVLS works for just about everything. Clears over everything. I assume you can clear over Sharpie with solvent-based clears as well. The reason why I think I know this is because we have a buddy back in Massachusetts whose nickname is Markers, and the reason why is because he would do a lot of his outlining with Sharpie and then clear it. So I'm pretty sure you can do that. Thanks, Tab. That's awesome. Yeah, honey, that would be quite the painting if you do the whole thing. You certainly learn a lot. So there you go. All right, so yeah, I'm gonna switch the camera around. I'll say my good afternoons, and then what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to get this into the booth and throw a couple rounds of clear on it so I can get this out, because that would be wonderful. We'll get that done. So happy Thursday, everyone. A pre-happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. Yeah, that's awesome. What else is going on? That's it. So I'll see you guys Monday. Back on it. Come back Monday and see if I've gotten all 5 done. Hopefully I do, and we'll be good to go next week. Same as always. So thank you very much again. Thank you for hitting that like button. If you are new here, even if you're watching it on the replay, hit that subscribe button as well, and hit me up with comments too. Try to answer them all. So we'll keep everything going. That's what I got. So happy Thursday to all of you, and yeah, I will catch everyone on the next one. Thanks a lot.